All right, guys, we're super excited to welcome Donya Douglas today. She has her own real estate investing company, Team Douglas, and also is a licensed realtor with KW. So welcome, Donya. How are you?
I'm doing well. So happy to be here. Hey, everybody.
Well, we're excited to kind of tap into your world of real estate, investing, all that good stuff. So for those that don't know you, kind of give us a little highlight reel of what you guys do.
Okay. All right. So what we do is we mainly work with a lot of seniors, helping them downsize and transition at the second half of their life. Um, they may have had a spouse that deceased, and we help them so that they can live out that second part of their life in a good way. And usually real estate is one of the remaining assets that they might have left. And so they either need to sell that so they can move into apartment or in with another relative, or just be able to transition the second half of their life. And so that's my main real estate side. And then on the investment side, we do a lot of rehabs and flipping on that side of the business.
That's great. And so what area do you guys serve?
We mainly serve it's like Southern California, but it's considered, we kind of stay east of Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with that, but it's like 30-mile radius. We go from downtown Los Angeles to the border of San Bernardino County, kind of stay in that main area.
Yeah, that's great. And so I know you said 14 years.
Yes.
That's amazing. So you've seen a lot. You've probably learned quite a bit in different situations. I'm sure you've never experienced, the
pandemic.
Exactly. Gosh, it's a crazy thing, especially in California, right?
Right. It's so interesting too because, I always I got into real estate so I could buy investment properties. I wanted to initially buy and hold properties. And I always had another job. Nothing really bothered me too much because I always had another job. And then almost 5 years ago, I went full-time in just investing. So this is a whole new animal when you have, you don't have, somebody saying, okay, here's your paycheck, and then now you're on your own. And so it's been really interesting. I have people that I'm responsible for, employees, and you feel that pressure, and all of this stuff is kind of I think it's making everybody just take a look at, okay, where am I at? How can I brace myself for this? Is there anything I need to change in my life and in business? And, how can I get through this the best way that I can, And I keep telling people at the end of this, when this is all over and we go back to normal life, I want to come out on the other side better than when this started, And so that's actually, it's taking a lot of reflecting and a lot of just tenacity to really be able to think that through and still work. I mean, look at how we're all adjusting. If I get on one more Zoom, I mean, I didn't even know how many people could be on a Zoom, right? I mean, do you follow me? So like, even I have my seniors, they're learning, half of them can get on Zoom and they find it easy. The other half are like, Donya, I can't do this. So it's just been really interesting. Everyone's making adjustments.
Yeah, we're definitely making adjustments, and essential versus non-essential, and do we then even feel safe
Right.
and taking those taking the precautions? How are you doing business now? How has this impacted your business?
Pretty much for me, what was so funny is I always could work from home, and I always had this kind of routine where I started my morning at home, and then once about 9:30 hit, I would just go to the office because I can easily get distracted at home. I've always had this thing where I said, okay, my house is my sanctuary. This is where I just chill, and I just relax. And I find that when this all started, I had to start kind of looking at things a little bit differently. because I really needed to work more from home, right? Because I couldn't just, okay, soon as I started getting distracted, jump in the car, drive to my office, and then back to, doing boom, boom. But I didn't have that anymore. So really had to like clean up my space, my office area. I had an office area, but it was just, I was just maybe in there for an hour or so. I didn't spend the whole day in there. So I had to make some adjustments with how my office was set up and the things that I had on the walls and all of that. So that was a little bit of a challenge. The other adjustment I'm making is really just being really intentional about who I'm surrounding myself with, even on these Zoom calls. Is there any women that are staying positive, that they are like, still working, they're still, because we're all having our moments, but for the most part, they're, I'm looking for good groups to be in, maybe ones that I couldn't have before. And just being around people like yourself and your group, those are all very helpful things. I have on my phone, I'm in a group with some of my friends, and I noticed that it was going really left, like, really, really negative. And it was like kind of too much. So I had to like step back a little bit and say, okay, what's going to be good for me during this time? How can I come out of this being positive? And I know things are going on. People are hurting, people are dying even, lots of things. But for me, I really find it important to just be careful who I'm surrounding myself with. And then also just to reach out to people. I've been reaching out to a lot of my clients and my friends and just seeing how they're doing. And not too many people have reached out to me, but then the other day, people reached out to me, and I was like, okay, well, all right. I got encouraged from that. So I'm doing a lot of video texting, which before, John, I would not do. Okay. So I could text in a minute, but as far as sending a video, so that's been really helpful, really encouraging. I'm getting good response from that. So.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. That's just a good takeaway and a good tidbit, I think, for those that are watching. Number one, stay positive yourself. Yeah. Number two, surround yourself with positivity. Create a positive work environment, maybe at your home office, that's going to be encouraging to you.
Yeah.
And then step into some video text, right? Because people are also missing that face-to-face. And so if we can even be face-to-face through the phone, it's better than just words. So I love that you've kind of pivoted that way and taking those things into the future, right? Like we shouldn't go back.
Right.
Back to the negativity. We shouldn't go back to just the comfort of the way that life was. And so as you are part of real estate, as you're part of investment properties, how do you anticipate this rolling back into production in your area? I mean, if you were to design this, because we know laws and rules, but how do you first anticipate it's going to go, and then ideally, how would it go for you?
I think what I've been just looking at is I've been staying really looking at the market stats and seeing like, okay, what's selling right now, even during this time. And then maybe also stepping back and seeing, okay, when did all of these properties go pending? When did they go into escrow? When was the work done for these properties? Probably January, February, and now they're closing now, right? So they kind of were already in process before this all started, right? So I'm looking at that, looking at days on market. And then really, to be honest, I feel like the impact is going to be felt maybe like in May or June, because these will be new properties that came under contract in April, maybe end of March, And so, but one of the things I do see is the things that are beautiful, that are fixed up, that look nice, they are selling quickly still. So we have less listings, but we also, the ones that are fixed up and ready to go as usual, they're still selling, and they're still selling in it's California. They're still selling. They're getting multiple offers. And so that's encouraging to me. So, but what I'm a little bit worried about is what's happening right now. So taking a look at what's going under contract right now and seeing how those look and just keeping an eye on it. And so for me, I'm just really trying to build better relationships, do better online, which is how the video texting came about, you know. So I feel like if you haven't embraced video, if you haven't embraced it before, now's a good time, because we're all kind of learning how to do it, you know, if we weren't doing it before, right? And so I think for me, I really want this to be like, okay, I have more solid relationships. I have, you know, I gave people the information they needed to keep their lives going and their businesses going. And so that's really what I'm looking at. And I'm thinking when this is all said and done, that'll be the best impact for me, even as far as just being able to build stronger, more solid relationships.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
I
so
think
good.
we get overwhelmed by everything, you know, but just one-on-one, even like how we are here. Now you and I have a relationship. And so then I can come back to you, or you can come back to me and say, hey, do you know about this? Have you heard about this? And then all of a sudden, you know, business ends up coming from that, you know,
Yeah.
not even intentionally.
That's so true. So true. Relationships definitely matter now more than ever, and setting us up in the future. And you know, you're using this time to study and see trends, see the statistics, so that you know out of the gate. Okay, if we start a project now, we may be looking at 1 to 2 months, you know,
Yes.
to get it active, but it's not only just throwing anything out there, because everybody's going to be out of the gate in their form or fashion, but really making sure it is ready. It is show ready, move in, turnkey, like let's go, so that we can be in that multiple offer situation. Are you looking, do you have your investors, like how are you finding your properties? And maybe there's less people that are thinking about, you know, they're like hunkering down. It's not time to move yet, but they're maybe in a situation where, you know, they can look forward to, maybe this can be an investment for me, you know, if I purchase, like the selling, the buying. Where are you finding those properties? What's ideal for you?
I think, you know, I'm actually going back and looking at the properties that I previously made offers on, seeing if they're still for sale. Maybe now I can get them at a lower price. You know, I just had one realtor contact me last night, and she was like, if you guys want to rewrite your offer, the seller's very motivated. Whereas before, when I sent the offer, she kind of was like, oh, really? You know, that kind of response. And I was like, okay. It's a little tiny house. It's a big lot, but it needs a lot of work, and you've got to add on to it. So we have to make sure, you know, everybody's going to make money on the project. So, but now she sent me an email saying, hey, do you mind taking a look at your offer again? So the seller's now motivated. And I find that's happening with quite a few. So I'm really focusing right now on follow up, going back and seeing there's anybody that wasn't ready, you know, for your stagers, maybe people that didn't want to stage before that now they want to, because it's going to be even more important in the pictures, in the videos. You know, there's a lot of things going around for realtors about Matterport and using Matterport for virtual showings. And those are going to be so important for the houses to be staged. You know, you really don't get that feeling when it's an empty house. You know, you got to have real vision to really see it. Once you put furniture and everything in there, you know, it's like, it's a whole different feeling of warmth and value and everything. So
it comes alive. That's
it comes alive.
Yeah.
So I think I'm really focusing on follow up. I'm still doing some direct mail, but I'm really working on the online stuff, just like you know, doing more Facebook, doing more Instagram, the things that maybe other people were doing, millennials were doing, but I wasn't really doing too much, you know. So
now you've got the time. Now you can study up. You can see what other people are doing. You can see they're not so, it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, just get it out there. And that's a great takeaway too, is follow up, right? Circle back around on the follow up, because somebody that might have been in, you know, not in a position or just out of want, you know, or an offer on their property or staging, circle back around, because people are going to be in different situations now and in the next few months to come.
Yeah. And Jana, you know, I think that's a good point, because it's like it's a customer by customer evaluation, you know what I mean? So even when we're following up, it's like, okay, what did the issue this person had before? Oh, they didn't need to sell. It was a second home, or they were waiting to move near their daughter, you know, or whatever it was, you know, it's going to be a case by case basis. And then we help them based on that. So, yeah. And I think that's where the relationship and being individual comes into play too. So.
Yeah, that's so good. I love it. Well, any last minute thoughts for our listeners? You've already shared so much, such good nuggets. Anything else you want to say that's like a word of encouragement or something to them?
You know what I really want to say is I see a lot of posts from women, and they're just really, really, really hard on themselves. They're like, the kids are here. I'm being teacher. I'm being wife. I'm being mommy. I'm being all of these things, you know, and I just want to encourage your ladies to just take time for themselves, even if it's just a 5-minute walk or it's 5 minutes worth of journaling. Don't forget about yourself during all this time. You know, we as women, we got our Superman capes on and we can do everything. And I think sometimes we lose ourselves. And so this is a good time to reset and to really take time for yourself, even if it's 5-10 minutes a day. It's really important. We still have to do that, because we have to come out of this stronger and better than we were before.
That's so good. Just take a deep breath.
Yeah.
This too shall pass.
Yes, this too shall pass.
And hopefully we're all better on the back end. And this is kind of a divine disruption. It's been a time that disrupted our lives, and maybe there are some great things that we've kind of come back to the basics, and then we've been able to kind of rebuild some things in our lives that maybe weren't working before. So I love that, and I'm so glad to have met you, and we just wish you the best going forward.
Thank you so much, Jana.
All right, thanks, Donya. Appreciate it.
All right, have a good night.
All right, you too.